When we think of horror, our minds usually jump to monsters in the closet or things that go bump in the night. But H.P. Lovecraft? He played a totally different game. His specialty was this deep, intellectual dread, a creeping kind of fear that doesn't just startle you, it messes with how you see everything, your entire place in the universe. So today, we're going to pop the hood on that engine of horror and see exactly how it works in his masterpiece, The Call of Cthulhu. So let's just kick things off with a question. We all know the classic monster movie formula, right? There's some big, scary creature that wants to hunt you down and, eat you. It's terrifying. But what could possibly be scarier than that? And this is the twisted genius of Lovecraft. The real horror isn't being the villain's main target. No, it's the soul-crushing discovery that you are so completely, so utterly insignificant that this cosmic monster doesn't even register your existence. That is the seed of true existential dread. To really get how Lovecraft builds this feeling, we're going to walk through 6 key ideas. We'll start with moving beyond simple scares, then look at how he crushes our ego, turns knowledge into a curse, explores the loss of free will, unpacks the horror of being ignored, and finally, why our own ignorance might just be the only thing saving us. Okay, first up, what's really driving all this? Lovecraftian dread isn't about the physical threat of a monster. It's about the spiritual threat of one simple, devastating idea. The idea that we are absolutely meaningless in a vast, cold universe. This is a horror that attacks your worldview, not your body, and its only goal is to leave you feeling this permanent, hopeless despair. So how does he actually do it? Well, the first tool in his kit is a full frontal assault on our most comforting belief. The idea that humanity is special, that we're the center of the story. Lovecraft's writing is basically designed to systematically tear that belief to shreds. He goes straight for what you could call our anthropocentric ego. It's that deep-down gut feeling we all have that the universe is in some way about us. It's the foundation for so much of our culture, our religion, our sense of purpose. And Lovecraft just walks in and says, nope, that's an illusion. And this really reframes the whole thing perfectly. See, Cthulhu isn't evil in any way we'd understand. It's not a demon fighting God. It's like a person walking on the sidewalk and you're the ant. If you get stepped on, it wasn't personal. The person didn't even see you. In this story, we are the ants. And that profound indifference is the real horror. Just look at this timeline. It's humbling, to say the least. Eons ago, these great old ones show up from the stars. Then you have millions and millions of years of planetary history. Dinosaurs come and go. And then, way over on the far right, you see that impossibly thin sliver? That's us. That's all of our art, our empires, our science. It's just a blink of an eye in these vast abysses of time. It really shows you the permanence of the alien and the shocking fragility of the human. Okay, so if we're that insignificant, maybe it's better not to know, right? Maybe ignorance really is bliss? Well, in Lovecraft's world, the pursuit of knowledge, the one thing we think is our greatest strength, is actually the fastest road to ruin. Think about the story's narrator. He starts off feeling safe and secure in his rational, academic world. But then he starts finding these clues. He starts connecting dots that were never, ever meant to be connected. And this phrase from the story just captures it perfectly. The piecing together of dissociated knowledge. He's solving a puzzle. And the final picture is pure terror. It's kind of like a detective story where you desperately wish you'd never found the final clue. An artist has a disturbing nightmare about a monstrous city. A sailor's logbook describes finding that exact same place. A police report details a bizarre cult worshiping the very same being from that city. On their own, they're just weird little stories. But once you connect them, your entire sense of reality just shatters. What the story is really getting at is this terrifying paradox. The more we discover about how things really are, the more we realize we have absolutely no place in it. Knowledge doesn't give us power here. It just reveals how powerless we truly are. It literally becomes the weapon of our own destruction. And that leads us to an even creepier layer of dread. What if we aren't even in control of our own minds? What if the horror isn't just out there in the cosmos, but it's already inside us, just waiting for a switch to be flipped? This is what the Call of Cthulhu is all about, and it's not a sound you can cover your ears to block out. Nope. The story describes it as a psychic signal, like an alien radio broadcast coming from the sleeping Cthulhu. It completely bypasses your rational brain and plugs right into your deepest subconscious. You can't fight it, you can't reason with it, and there's nowhere to run. This whole idea just demolishes our sense of free will. It suggests the horror isn't something we go out and find, but something that's been dormant inside our heads all along. We're just biological receivers. We're antennas, basically, just waiting for the right cosmic signal to tune in. We're not active players in this story. We're just passive victims of cosmic events way, way beyond our control. So what happens when you actually see one of these cosmic beings? In most stories, coming face to face with something godlike is this moment of pure awe, right? Well, Lovecraft, he flips that completely on its head. Philosophers have this concept of the sublime. It's that feeling of awe you get looking at the Grand Canyon or up at a starry night. It connects you to something bigger than yourself. But Lovecraft creates this inverted, this loathsome sublime. When his characters get a peek behind the curtain at what's truly cosmic, they don't feel inspired. They feel a deep, cosmic fear, disgust, and absolute despair. A perfect example is when the sailors in the story find the sunken city of Rylea. It should be this incredible moment of discovery, seeing something beyond human imagination. But it doesn't inspire them at all. The architecture is all wrong, the scale is maddening, and there's no sense of divine comfort, just a frightful new perspective on how tiny they are. And this right here, this sums up the entire feeling. Being hunted at least means you matter. You're important enough to be a target. But to be so completely and totally ignored by the forces that run the universe, that's the ultimate terror. Okay, so where is all of this going? This dark journey of discovery, this piecing together of forbidden knowledge? It has an endgame. And that endgame is the complete, unfiltered understanding of reality, which in Lovecraft's world is the most horrifying thing imaginable. The story basically argues that our sanity is protected by this very thin veil of ignorance. He says we live on a placid island of ignorance in the midst of black seas of infinity. If that veil was ever ripped away, if we actually connected all the dots and saw the big picture, our brains just couldn't take it. We'd be faced with a very grim choice. And these are presented as the only two sane responses. Either the truth would shatter your mind into a million pieces, or you'd have to consciously reject it all, run away from science and reason, and retreat into the peace and safety of a new dark age. There's no third option where we learn the truth and just get on with our lives. This is actually the opening line of the story, but it's also its final conclusion. Our greatest protection isn't our weapons or our intelligence. It's our limitations. It's our built-in inability to see the whole terrifying picture. In this universe, ignorance isn't just bliss. It's the only thing keeping us from total psychological collapse. And this is the final punch to the gut. This is where Lovecraft leaves us. The dread he creates is so effective because by the end of the story, the narrator's horror has become our horror. We've been given a glimpse of the cosmic perspective, and once you've seen that, you can't unsee it. Which leaves us all with one final, really unsettling question. For you and me, just how thin is that curtain?